I never imagined that the happiest day of my family's life would become the moment my heart shattered into pieces. I still can't fully put back together. The baby shower was perfect on the outside. Soft pink balloons drifting from the ceiling, laughter spilling like sunlight, and my daughter, Emily, glowing in the center of it all, her hand resting gently on her belly. I had spent months creating the perfect gift. Late nights, quiet tears, and every stitch filled with love. It was a hand-stitched quilt made from the fabrics of Emily's own baby clothes, the ones I had saved for 28 years. Tiny embroidered hearts, our family tree in delicate thread, and a message in the corner that read, "Wrapped in generations of love." It wasn't expensive, it was everything I had to give. The room fell into that sweet hush when Emily reached for my gift. Her husband, Alex, leaned in first, smiling that charming smile everyone always praised. He tore the paper, lifted the quilt, and for half a second, the whole room waited for the warmth I had poured into it. Instead, he let out a short, dismissive laugh. "Really? This old thing?" He held it up like it was something embarrassing. "We have modern stuff for the baby, designer blankets, proper crib sets. Who needs dusty handmade junk?" And then, right there in front of 20 people, he tossed my gift onto the floor in the corner like it was trash. Emily's eyes met mine for one heartbeat. I waited for her to say something, anything. A soft, "Alex, that's from my mom," or even a gentle, "Please don't." But she just gave a small, nervous smile and whispered, "It's the thought that counts, honey." The room quickly filled the silence with awkward chatter. Someone changed the subject to the cake. I sat there frozen, my hands trembling in my lap, feeling every eye pretend not to notice. I left early that day, folding the quilt under my arm like a wounded child I had to protect. The drive home was a blur of tears. I kept replaying the moment, his laugh, her silence, the way my love had been thrown aside so casually. I told myself it was just one bad moment, stress from the pregnancy, a clumsy joke that landed wrong. But what I didn't know that day was that this small, public rejection was only the first crack in a much deeper betrayal, one that would slowly unravel everything I believed about my daughter's marriage, her happiness, and the man she had chosen to build a life with. In the weeks that followed, I tried to convince myself I was overreacting. I called Emily the next morning, keeping my voice light. "Sweetheart, about the quilt yesterday." She sighed before I could finish. "Mom, Alex is under so much pressure at work. The baby is coming, bills are piling up, and he's just stressed. Please don't make this into something bigger than it is." Her words landed like stones in my chest. I had raised Emily alone after her father walked out when she was 6. I had worked 2 jobs, skipped meals, and promised her she would never feel unwanted. Now I was watching her defend the very man who had just made me feel exactly that, unwanted. The distance grew slowly, the way winter creeps in. Calls became shorter, visits felt monitored. Whenever I stopped by, Alex was always there, smiling, offering coffee, but somehow steering the conversation away from anything real. Emily's laughter sounded thinner. Her eyes carried shadows I couldn't quite name. One afternoon, I noticed faint bruises on her wrist. "I bumped into the doorframe," she said quickly. I wanted to scream, but I swallowed it. Then came the day that changed everything. I dropped off some prenatal vitamins Emily had asked for. Alex's car wasn't in the driveway. Emily was in the nursery, folding tiny clothes, tears sliding down her cheeks. When I asked what was wrong, she broke. "He says I'm too close to you, Mom, that I need to be more independent, that you're interfering." Her words cracked. "I love him. I just want peace." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing the quilt on the floor, hearing his laugh. Something inside me shifted from hurt to a quiet, burning ache. I started noticing things I had tried to ignore before. The way Alex never looked me in the eye when he thought no one was watching. The expensive gifts Emily suddenly couldn't explain. The late nights he claimed were work. One rainy evening, I was helping Emily organize the nursery while Alex was out. Her phone lit up on the table with a message preview. I wasn't snooping, I swear I wasn't, but the words were right there. Can't wait to be free after the baby comes. Miss you already. It was from a name I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. When I gently asked Emily about it, she snatched the phone and said it was nothing, just a friend. But her hands were shaking. I began to piece it together like a puzzle I never wanted to solve. A mutual friend quietly told me she had seen Alex having dinner with a woman from his office more than once. Bank statements Emily left open on the laptop showed transfers to an account she didn't recognize. And every time I tried to get closer to my daughter, Alex found a way to push me further out. My heart was breaking in slow motion. I lay awake wondering if I had failed her, if my love had somehow made her blind to the man who was quietly tearing her life apart. The pain was so deep I could barely breathe. But somewhere in those long, tear-filled nights, the pain began to change. It hardened into something stronger. I realized I couldn't sit by and watch my daughter and my unborn granddaughter be destroyed, not after everything I had sacrificed to give Emily a better life. I stopped begging to be heard. Instead, I started listening harder, watching closer, and I made a silent promise to myself. I would protect them, even if it meant standing alone. 3 months later, my granddaughter Lily was born on a quiet Tuesday morning. The hospital room smelled of fresh flowers and new beginnings. Alex stood by the bed taking pictures, playing the proud father for everyone to see. But when the nurses left and the door clicked shut, I saw the mask slip, just for a second. The same cold look he had given my quilt. I waited. I kept the quilt safe at home, washed and folded, its stitches still holding every prayer I had whispered into it. 2 weeks after they brought Lily home, Alex announced at a small family gathering that they were moving across the country for a fresh start. Emily looked exhausted, holding Lily like she was the only steady thing left. That was the moment I had been preparing for. I stood up slowly, the quilt in my arms. "Before you take my daughter and granddaughter away," I said, my voice steady but trembling with everything I had held back, "I want Emily to see something." From inside the quilt, I pulled a small envelope I had kept hidden for weeks. Inside were printed screenshots, messages, photos, bank records, proof of the affair that had been going on for almost a year, proof that Alex had been planning to leave once the baby was born so he wouldn't have to share custody or responsibility. The room went deathly quiet. Emily's hands shook as she read. Tears fell onto the papers. Alex tried to speak, to twist the story, to blame me for meddling again, but the evidence was undeniable. His voice grew louder, desperate, until even his own mother looked away in shame. Emily looked at him, then at me, and something in her eyes finally broke open. "How could you?" she whispered. That night, she asked him to leave. The divorce was painful, but it was clean. With the proof I had gathered, Emily kept the house, full custody, and the support she and Lily deserved. Alex lost more than a marriage. He lost the respect of every person who had once called him family. Months later, Emily and I sat on the nursery floor, Lily sleeping peacefully between us. The quilt was draped over the crib, its message still visible. Emily reached for my hand and said softly, "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner, Mom. Thank you for never giving up on us." I pulled her close, tears falling freely now. The betrayal had been cruel. The public humiliation at that baby shower had cut deeper than I ever admitted. But standing in the wreckage, I realized something powerful. A mother's love doesn't just survive betrayal, it becomes the force that rebuilds everything the betrayal tried to destroy. If there's one thing I want you to carry from my story, it's this. Never ignore the quiet signs. Never let anyone make you feel your love is dusty or unimportant. And when the people you cherish are being torn down, stand up, even if your voice shakes. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't loud or cruel. Sometimes it's simply refusing to let the people who hurt you win. My daughter and granddaughter are safe. My heart is healing. And that quilt I made, it's still wrapped around the most precious love I've ever known.